For years, it has been gospel truth among the open borders set that it was simply impossible for a business owner to know they were hiring illegal aliens. Elite opinion shapers like Tamar Jacoby et al. Insist that asking business owners to hire only citizens or immigrants authorized to work here would turn employers into the jackboot-wearing Gestapo. Well, here's the thing. The reason these folks were able to get away with these transparent and ridiculous lies was because our feckless government refused to call them on it. For several years, we've said that even minimal government investigation would reveal unethical employers who have not only known they were hiring illegals, but been complicit in purposefully hiring them to replace American workers. And guess what? Now that the government is finally cracking down on employers, we're seeing story after story exposing just how maliciously corrupt the employers of illegal aliens have been all along. Nevada. Mac Associates, owner-operators of 11 McDonald's franchises, have been fined $11 million for knowingly hiring illegal aliens and providing them with false documents. Massachusetts. After an undercover officer told the Michael Bianco sweatshop in New Bedford she was an illegal alien, they not only let her continue working at their plant, they told her how to procure a fake Social Security card. Texas. Owners of a Stanton golf course imported 420 illegal aliens who they then rented out to other unethical business owners. Ohio. Authorities report that Mexican restaurants were recruiting Mexican citizens to work illegally. Iowa. Agents who raided the agri-processors plant in Postville didn't just find hundreds of illegal employees, they found hundreds of fraudulent resident alien cards stashed in the Human Resources Department. Texas. A rigger is suing an oil company and a staffing service for knowingly displacing Americans with illegal aliens. Missouri. 2 roofing contractors paid Luis Hernandez Bautista, a Mexican national, $6 million to smuggle illegal aliens into the U.S. to work for them. And perhaps most ironically, 2 executives at a company hired to build part of the border fence were fined $200,000 and $100,000 for knowingly hiring illegal aliens. Still think employers don't know they're hiring illegals? If so, we have a lovely oceanfront property for sale in Arizona with your name on it. And while we appreciate the government's recent, minuscule, far too late efforts to address this problem, unfortunately they're still not serious about stopping it. What makes us say that? Well, a recent story noted that fines for hiring illegals is still ridiculously low, ranging from a minimum of $375 to a maximum of $3,200. And the fines for multiple offenses max out at a measly $16,000. That may sound like a lot of money to us hard-working citizens struggling in a rough economy, but to those profiting on the backs of illegal employees and unemployed Americans? In November of 2007, it was reported that the owners of a Newport News fishing company netted almost $7 million in profits over a 3-year period simply by hiring illegals. $7 million. How's that $16,000 max look now? It looks like chump change, and thanks to the government that's supposed to be looking out for us, we're the chumps. Greedy employers are not only knowingly hiring illegal aliens, they're facilitating illegal activity in any and every way they can find to make more money. In other words, they are purposefully committing a crime every time they step over an American to hire an illegal alien instead. $16,000 is bullshit. We all know it. Our government knows it. But you can be sure they won't do the right thing without a hell of a lot of pressure from we the people to make the punishment fit the crime. The victim, Alex Fulbright, 9, of Macon County, North Carolina. The accused, Olivar Angelo Roblero, 36, an illegal alien. The charges, misdemeanor assault and felony attempted kidnapping. The story. After arriving home early last Monday morning, 9-year-old Alex took her dog outside the family's trailer. That's when she says Roblero grabbed her around the waist and tried to pull her over a fence. Fortunately, Alex struggled and was able to get away. Hearing her screams, family members came out and followed Roblero to his nearby trailer, where a dispute ensued. Neighbors called 911, and Roblero was taken into custody, where he admitted that he's in the country illegally. Alex says that while he was trying to drag her off, he told her that she was, quote, his love, and that he was going to get her, one way or another. Even more disturbing, Alex's mother, Angela Fulbright, reports that this wasn't the first time Roblero had made threatening remarks about her daughter. She says he had previously expressed an interest in buying the 9-year-old girl, asking, quote, how much for her? 20? Of course, if our feckless government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Olivar Angelo Roblero wouldn't have been here to offer to buy or forcibly try to take what only a perverted scumbag would want from a 9-year-old little girl. And that makes this crime what? 100% preventable. The victim, a 12-year-old North Carolina girl. The accused, No Perez Trinidad, 18, an illegal alien. The charges, 2 counts of first-degree rape. The story. Last week, Lincoln County detectives and the Department of Social Services responded to an anonymous phone tip reporting that the 12-year-old girl had been raped. When authorities arrived at the house, Trinidad presented a fake ID and fake Social Security card. He was taken into custody and is being held on a $150,000 bond. We've reported several times recently on the dishonesty with which crime statistics are gathered and used. Trinidad is yet another case in point. If he were being pulled over for a traffic stop, the race baiters would be squealing in protest because he'd be the Hispanic victim of racial profiling. But when he's charged with raping a 12-year-old girl, you guessed it, he's white. Of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, No Perez Trinidad wouldn't have been here, white, Latino, or otherwise, to rape an innocent 12-year-old girl on American soil. And that makes this crime what? 100% preventable. We've done a couple of pieces in the past few weeks about how our government classifies race and/or ethnicity for statistical purposes. Now, we're well aware that covering these issues is like sounding a Pavlovian bell for those who prefer barking racist to offering a reasoned assertion about illegal immigration. As a matter of fact, in one of the pieces we even predicted that some accusatory commenter was bound to use our daring to mention race as an excuse to ignore the point we were making. Meet Rick664ATH. Rick dropped these insightful words under the July 21st blog burst, which included an uncounted beans piece. Learn the difference between a race and an ethnicity. I've met Latinos who are whiter than you are, blonde hair and blue eyes. Just admit you are a sexist. I am Latino and I am white. My ethnicity is not my race, you douche. As I responded in comments, we're well aware of the difference between race and ethnicity. Our point is that such distinctions must be made across the board, not just with crime statistics, to draw accurate comparisons and conclusions. Rick's response? Great, so we can distinguish them only when they commit a crime? Pretty smart way to blame certain ethnicities. Recap. I say, repeatedly, that if we're going to track race and ethnicity, we have to use the same methodology for criminals, crime victims, affirmative action, enforcement profiling, across the board. Rick says I'm demanding that we use it only with regards to crime, so I can blame certain ethnicities. And his closing thrust? You know what? I don't think we are on the same page. I don't know if it's me, or if you didn't make yourself very clear, but let's end this. There is no need to discuss this any further. The same page, Rick? I don't even think we're on the same planet. Is it just me, or does this make your head hurt too? I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that my head hurts because sometimes it feels like I'm banging it against a wall. Thanks for clicking in to this week's episode of the Blogs for Borders video blog burst. And thanks to our sponsor this week, the Bear Creek Ledger blog, where Tony brings you big news and big commentary from her little holler in Tennessee. For all things conservative, and particularly for a good dose of military news and support for our troops, visit her at bearcreekledger.com. And don't forget that while we only show up once a week, PayPal is open 24/7. Click the Support Blogs for Borders button at freedomfolks.com to help us keep bringing you the news ignores. And until next week, be vigilant, be vocal, and be unrelenting. We've got a country to save.